Hello, friends. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Today is a new moon class. The new moon isn't for a few more days yet. It's not till October 2nd, but it's not only a new moon, it is also a solar eclipse. So there's a lot of energy around. It's a lot for us to work with. So it's a partial solar eclipse and it's happening in the sign of Libra. So why are we even talking about this? And what does this have to do with yoga and how can this serve you? Well, on a very personal level, the sign of Libra is about balance and it's about relationships. So our key theme tonight is going to be about relationship. Why we're talking about it, on a personal level, we want to have a look at some things related to our relationship. From a yoga perspective, we want to start to understand what this link is between what's happening astrologically, this energy out there, and how we can really embody and integrate this energy into our lives to make this useful to us. Because if you're curious about astrology, you probably do a lot of reading or watch a lot of videos and just fill up with information, but then what, other than complete confusion? Because there's going to be different astrologers are going to focus on, well, at this point in time, a lot of them are focusing on what's happening with the Libra new moon and the partial solar eclipse. But if you were, for example, to go for a reading, you might get variations from different people, even though they're looking at the same chart. They're looking at your chart. They're trying to guide you, right? And yet the readings can all come up a little bit different because they're also affected by their own energy. And so what does that all mean? It means that having a bit of an understanding of what this cosmic energy is all about, and then putting it up against what you learn through the self-study of Kundalini Yoga and meditation can make this information usable and relevant to you. You can match up what you're hearing against what you're starting to understand about yourself. So it serves as a bit of a sometimes a validation. You might be feeling right now, we're going to speak to relationships, and you might be feeling something around your relationships. Now, if you were to look at your chart, if you have a good enough understanding of that or speak with an astrologer and you hear their insights about that, are you going to simply make your decisions based on what somebody else says or your own interpretation of your chart, which might still be very rudimentary because it takes a lot of years of study to really understand the depth of that's available to you in that chart? Or are you going to trust the voice of your soul? Your chart, what you're starting to understand about your natal chart or the current transits, the current energy that's out there, put up against what perhaps someone with a lot of years of study and wisdom has to share with you, put up against what you know about yourself. All of that combined is powerful. Sort of like a little bit of information is a dangerous thing. For example, this particular new moon, right? We talk about new moons being about new beginnings, but this particular new moon is also about endings, about release, about karmic endings in relationships, closure. So when I say endings and relationships, where does your mind go? Oh, I have to end a relationship, right? That's a little bit of information is a dangerous thing. So we don't need to all rush out there and have a massive amount of breakups today. What we need to understand is, what does this mean for me? What's happening in my life, my understanding of who I am and who I am in relationship, right? Libra calls to us to find balance and harmony in our relationships. And we can't experience that harmony if we continue to do things that are people pleasing, or we do things solely to keep the peace, or we do things where we basically aren't even acting as our true selves to feel loved or accepted. Because then we're not even moving through the world as our true self. So that relationship isn't even authentic. So it may not be necessarily that the big breakup needs to happen. It might be that we need to break some sort of pattern in this relationship. What's your current pattern of give and take? What's your current pattern when it comes to people pleasing? And, you know, have you lost the balance between the give and take? Is it always give, 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 seemingly from a place of, yes, this is who I am, this is what I want to do, and then ending up feeling either very resentful or burnt out because of it. So as we move through the new moons in the year, as we move through, you know, the full moons of the year, as we take a couple of moments in time, which is what we do in the Yoga of Astrology course that I'm offering right now, as we take a couple of opportunities through the month to shine the light on a particular area of our lives that's aligned with that current cosmic energy, we can start moving things forward, and we can stop denying the truth of what's happening. Right? So what is the truth of what's happening in your relationships? Now, Libra is speaking to important relationships right now, but it might not be your intimate relationship, your life partner. This might be about a partnership, a friendship, but it's calling you to have a look at your pattern of behavior that you've set up in a particular relationship. If there's something really uncomfortable coming up, happening for you right now, something almost immediate will come to mind. And, you know, maybe we've gotten so used to these patterns in our behaviors in all of our relationships that we don't even think they're a problem anymore, except we might be ending up a little more resentful and burnt out than we really want to be. Right? So this allows us to just slow down a little bit. We're just taking a moment here and just slowing down and shining the spotlight on you, because when it comes to relationship, that's all you've really got to work with is you, right? Your part of this dance, of this relationship dance, your part in this friendship, this partnership, whatever it is. If the pattern's going to shift, it's going to shift by you becoming conscious of it, you acknowledging it, and you facing it and deciding to take action. Astrology isn't useful to us if we continue to simply collect information, or if we get a reading and we don't like the information we got, we just move on to someone else to get another reading and move on and on until we hear something that we like. It doesn't affect change. When we speak to what's happening energetically and then find a way to really work with that energy in our bodies and combine that with self-inquiry work, bringing to mind, you know, the questions I need to ask myself right now. You know, where are you in your relationships right now? You know, are you maybe reaching a breaking point, recognizing, you know, that you keep going above and beyond again and again and again in your relationships, and you're not feeling that being reciprocated. So there's a lot of things we do to try to maintain harmony in our relationships, harmony in our homes, harmony in our lives. But when it isn't true to who we are, we're never really going to experience true peace. We continue to be at war within ourselves. So with the practice of Kundalini Yoga, we look to what's happening astrologically, and then we look to how can I best work with that energy in this moment in time, with what specific meditations, with what specific chakra activations. And that's what we do every month in the Yoga of Astrology full moon classes that we get together. These new moon classes are sort of extra classes that I've been sharing with the community at large to give you a feel for, how Kundalini Yoga and astrology works together. And hopefully you've had a chance to try some of the classes. If you want to just let me know if you've been able to try any of the recent new moon classes or the last quarter reset challenge. Let me know if you were able to try any of those. I want to make sure that you do get an opportunity. You'll get an opportunity tonight, or if you want to know more, I'd love to be able to chat with you a little bit more about what this can offer you. And the reason being is because enrollment is going to close on October 1st, and I've been offering the course at this 40% off price since May to build the community in a way that we're all going to move forward with the same foundation being laid, the same groundwork. So we want to as we move month by month, there's the course curriculum that speaks to what chakras are aligned with what zodiac signs, what chakras are aligned with what planets. We speak to, your karma, your destiny, your north node, your midheaven, what all these things mean, your life purpose. We're really looking at life purpose and how to make sure we're aligned with our purpose so that our life is filled with meaning, that our relationships are meaningful, that we regain our vitality. And the tools that we're using are these signs that we're seeing, these indicators, this map in our natal chart, combined with the tools to help us move things forward, to actually take action that we can gain from the practice of Kundalini Yoga, right? So you have all of this work in the curriculum of the course, and then month by month, we slow down again and we go, okay, now we're going to look at this. Right now we're looking at Libra, because just speaking to Libra alone it's a big conversation. I mean, who feels 100% balanced and at peace and experiencing, harmony in all their relationships? So we read about Libra and we have a sense of what Libra energy is all about and what it can give us. And then what we do, if we're not actually doing anything about it, if we don't then commit to a period of time when we say, no, I really want to look at this balance in my relationship. Where are things out of whack? Where have the scales been tipped? Where am I lacking balance? Where is there disharmony? Why do I feel like I'm reaching my breaking point? Slow down. Don't just read the chapter on Libra and flip the page. Right, which is what happens. I spent all summer doing it. Let me read the chapter on the zodiac signs. Good. Okay. Read the chapter on the houses. Good. Read the chapter on, transits and Saturn returns, and flip. But that's great. I know a lot of things, but these things aren't necessarily going to impact my life. How do I take this information? How do I work with this information? How do I affect change now, today? Because a lot of us are at our breaking point somewhere. It could be with our relationship with ourselves, because that relationship, that issue you're having in relationship with another is really reflecting the relationship that you have with yourself. So again, what do we have to work with? If we're working on relationship, our starting point is working with the self. This is what we've got to work with. And we can try to work with the mind, but the mind is too tricky. The mind doesn't want to admit a lot of things, face a lot of things. We hide things from ourselves, or we justify our behaviors, and we're not even 100% honest with ourselves, and yet we demand honesty from our partner. We don't get honesty from our partner. We feel that our trust has been betrayed. Are we 100% honest with ourselves? Who am I in relationship? How am I showing up? How am I, affecting the ability for that relationship to move forward if I'm constantly trying to control it in some way to keep the peace. I'm not saying never keep the peace, right? There's some value to adjusting our behaviors and modifying some things in always. But when it comes to the point where this is what we're constantly doing, then you're not even in that relationship. Your behavior is so modified, you're not even living authentically as yourself anymore. You've literally turned yourself into a completely different person to make that relationship work. So is that the relationship that you want? Now, new moons are about new beginnings, but as I mentioned, because this is a solar eclipse, this is also about a karmic closure, an ending. So your new beginning is happening due to some end of a cycle, maybe, an end of a pattern that's happening in your relationship. Maybe it is the end of a relationship, maybe, Any insights that come to you during your practice are worth sitting with before you go out to take action. Be clear about the steps that you want to take, knowing that every thought you think, every word you speak has an effect. So clear what needs to be clear within yourself first before you take action. Get clear about the conversation that you've been avoiding that you need to have, or the behavior that needs to shift. Our clarity comes through heightening our intuition, which anytime we work through our blockages, our emotional blockages, helps us to achieve. When we work towards enlightenment, it just means being able to move through life in a more awakened state so that we stop harming each other in relationships, so we stop harming ourselves to be in that relationship. But it means we have to work through the emotional blocks first. So we're going to work with some heart chakra activation today. We're going to work with some releasing some attachments. Sometimes we're so afraid of loss that we're unwilling to have the difficult conversations that need to happen. And yet, having that honest conversation can open the door for that whole new beginning in your relationship, for greater harmony, for greater peace. So maybe reflect on, are you reaching your breaking point in some relationship? Where is it that you keep going above and beyond? What are the things that you keep doing to keep the peace that just don't feel aligned with who you are? Now, it's said that the time of the new moon is a time to set intentions to create a new beginning. In this case, to create a new beginning in some relationship in our lives. However, the intention shouldn't be set exactly on the new moon, and definitely not in a solar eclipse new moon, because that's like a new moon with even greater energy. The intention should be set just after. So if we think of this eclipse as being a supercharged new moon, where there's much more energy around it, and we know that this is about karmic closures, some fated change that needs to happen. We don't want to be setting our intentions when this eclipse is trying to work its magic, when it's trying to eclipse something out of our lives, eclipse a pattern out of our lives, or perhaps a person out of our lives. We don't know. I don't know. You know. So we're not going to set intentions on that day. but just after. Okay. So my invitation to you today is to be open to a new way of practicing, to a new way of learning about yourself. That's what the Yoga of Astrology offers you. We are going to jump into class here, and then I'll speak to some specifics of the course, but remember to, as we move through the practice, that you're in charge of your experience here. And so really listen to your body, do what feels right for you, stop and rest anytime you need to. We're going to use mantra. We're going to use the mantra Sat Nam through the practice. That's SATNAM. And what that mantra does is it reflects you to your true essence, simply to remind you as you move forward in relationship to always be showing up as your most authentic self, so that you can build relationships built on that authenticity, because those are the ones that are going to last. Those are the ones that will help you achieve peace and harmony. So we're going to get started, and the mantra itself will replace the breathing pattern. The Sat will become the inhale, the Nam will become the exhale, so you don't have to think about your breathing pattern. And then I will speak a little, take some time after to answer any questions that have come up around this combination of Kundalini Yoga and astrology and how it can benefit you, and also some specifics of the course as enrollment is closing on October 1st. So let's get started. You ready? I'm sitting tall, spine straight, chin parallel to the floor. Extend your hands out over your knees, thumb and index finger pressed together. Close your eyes, go inward, breathe deep, long, deep inhale. Full and complete exhale. Keep breathing deeply, long, deep inhale. Full and complete exhale. Keeping the eyes closed. Focus on you. Rub your palms together briskly. Hands to heart center, shoulders relaxed. Inhale through the nose. Exhale. Inhale to begin. Om Namo Gurudeva Namo. Om Namo Gurudeva Namo. Om Namo Gurudeva Namo. Inhale deeply and hold. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Stay connected to that place of peace deep inside. With the eyes closed, exhale. One more. Deep inhale, fill the heart. And exhale. Release the arms, shake it out, let it go. Extend your arms straight out to the sides. The arms are at the level of the shoulders, the palms face forward. Twist to your left, tap the right palm at heart center, Sat. Twist the other way, left palm taps at heart center, Nam. Sat, 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 Nam. Sat 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 Nam. Three more. Sat Nam. Sat Nam. Sat Nam. Arms extended, deep inhale. Stay here, exhale. Breathe in as deeply as you can, inhale. Exhale. Turn the palms to face the sky and lift the heart. Just lean back just a tiny bit. Sat. Round the shoulders, gaze towards the earth. Nam. Lift the heart. Sat. Nam. 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 Sat 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 Nam. Three more. Sat Nam. Sat Nam. Last time. Sat Nam. Inhale, palms face the sky. Exhale, stay here. On the next inhale, reach the arms overhead, interlace the fingers, index fingers pressed together. If you need to use your hands to help you come to standing, that's okay. Do what works for you. With a powerful inhale and the strength of the belly, come all the way to standing, uncross the legs. Step the feet wider than hip distance, keep the arms reaching high. Standing squat or maybe full squat. Listen to your body. If you have issues with your knees, stay in standing. Sat Nam. 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 Three more. Sat Nam. Sat Nam. Sat Nam. Inhale. On the exhale, standing squat or all the way down. You decide what's right for you. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, stay here, work with the mantra. Sat, pull in and up on the belly. Nam, let the belly relax. Sat, Nam. 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 Keep reaching high. Sat, Nam. 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 Sat, nam, 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 sat, nam. Inhale, reach high. Exhale, keep reaching high. Deep inhale, reach high. On the exhale, release the hands. Slowly, slowly release the fingertips to the floor. Hands in behind you, sit back on your buttocks, shake out your arms, shake out your legs. Swing the legs in behind you, come onto your hands and knees. From here, step the right foot between your hands, bring the body tall. You can stay here with your left knee on the earth, or curl the left toes under, straighten the leg. Arms start at the level of the shoulders, reach the arms up high. Sat, the level of the shoulders. Nam, open the arms up wide, palms face forward. Sat, nam. Sat, nam, 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 sat, nam. Two more. Sat, nam, sat, nam, sat, nam, sat, nam. Deep inhale. And exhale, left knee to the earth. Deep inhale, exhale, palms to the earth. Bring the right knee back. Bring the left foot between the hands. Bring the body tall. Option to keep the right knee exactly where it is. If you choose, curl the right toes under, straighten the leg, arms start at the level of the shoulders. Reach the arms up high. Sat, nam, open. Sat, nam, 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 sat, nam. Two more. Sat, nam, sat, nam, sat, nam, sat, nam. Inhale. Exhale, right knee to the earth, palms to the floor. Bring the left knee to the floor. You can stay on your hands and knees. This is perfectly fine. If you choose, only if it doesn't create pressure on the low back, drop the forearms to the earth, press the palms together. Step the feet back, but come onto the tops of the feet and keep drawing the belly up. Gaze to the earth, working with the mantra. Sat, nam, 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 sat, nam. Three more. Sat, nam, sat, nam, sat, nam. Inhale. Exhale, drop the knees wide. walk yourself back into child's pose, but keep the arms extended. Drop the forehead to the earth. Breathe into your low back. Rest here as long as you need. When you feel ready to move on, inhale back onto your hands and knees. If you're feeling any discomfort in the low back, please stay here. Stay on your knees. If you choose, step all the way back to plank. Bring the right palm to heart center. Sat, right palm to the floor. Nam. Same thing other side. Sat, nam. 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 Sat. Last side. Sat, nam. Inhale. Exhale, drop the knees wide, bring the big toes to touch, and walk back until you're pressed up onto the balls of the feet. Keep the heels touching and off the floor the whole time. There's pressure in the knees, modify, do a standing squat. As you bring the legs almost to straight, left palm to heart center. Sat, left fingertips to the floor. Nam. Bringing the energy up into the heart. Sat, nam. 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 Sat, last side. Sat, nam. Deep inhale. Hold it here, exhale. Breathe deep, fill the heart, inhale. Stay here, exhale. If there's pressure in the knees, please sit down and simply work with the mantra. Grab a hold of the elbows, find a point to gaze at to help you maintain your balance. And keep repeating the mantra, pulling in powerfully in the belly on Sat, the belly relax on Nam. Taking that energy from the belly and lifting it up into the heart. Sat, Nam. 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 3 more. Sat, Nam. Sat, Nam. Sat, Nam. Inhale. Hold it, exhale. 1 more deep inhale. Exhale, fingertips to the floor. On the next inhale, slowly uncurl the body. Keep a slight bend in the knees and float the arms all the way up to the sky. Inhale, reach high. On the exhale, open the arms up wide, just to the level of the shoulders. Set the feet wider than hip distance. Bring the elbows back behind you as we come into a standing squat or full squat, really pressing the heart open. Down as far as you choose. Sat, extend the arms. Nam. Sat, Nam. Sat, nam, 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 sat. 3 more. Sat, nam, sat, nam, sat, nam. Inhale. Hold it, exhale. One more deep inhale. Exhale, slowly release the arms, shake out the arms, shake out the legs. When you're ready, as we bow forward, draw in on the belly to help you maintain your balance, and you can use your hands to brace yourself on the standing leg. Right foot stays on the floor, left leg comes up first. You don't have to lift the leg high. Bringing the back towards parallel, sat. Left foot back to the floor, nam. Same thing other side, sat, nam, 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 sat, nam. Last side, sat, nam. Deep inhale and exhale. Float the arms all the way to the sky. As we lower the arms, the shoulder blades press back towards each other. The left leg comes up. When you're ready, sat, nam. Other side, sat, nam, 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 sat, nam. Last side, sat, nam. Inhale, reach high. On the exhale, still reaching high, drop down onto your knees. Inhale, reach high. On the exhale, sit back on your heels. Drop the palms to the floor. Walk the body forward, come lying down onto your stomachs. Arms are extended. Palms on the floor. Option to lift just the upper body or the upper body and the legs. Listen to your body. If there's pinching in the low back, lower the legs immediately. Inhale, come up. Exhale, stay here. Press the shoulder blades together, heart open. Sat, extend the arms. Nam. Sat, 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 Nam, Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam. 3 more. Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam. Inhale. Stay here. Exhale. One more deep inhale. Exhale. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Lower the feet. Press all the way back into child's pose. Keep the arms extended. Breathe into the lower back. Let go. When you feel ready to move on, inhale up onto your hands and knees. Inhale, gaze skyward, belly sags. On the exhale, curl the toes under, press back, down dog. Bend the knees deeply, walk the feet towards your hands. On the next inhale, float the arms all the way to the sky, keep reaching high. Feet either all the way together or slightly separate to help you balance. Keep reaching high, inhale. On the exhale, sink down into chair pose, weight in the heels. Press the shoulder blades together, heart open. Sat, arms reach, Nam. Sat, 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 Nam. Last time. Sat, Nam. Inhale, stay down low. Exhale, stay here. Inhale all the way to standing. And on the exhale, press the palms together. Inhale, reach high. Exhale, drop down to your knees. Inhale, reach high. Exhale, sit back on your heels. Swing the legs out from underneath you. Legs extended. Bend the right knee, relax the left leg as much as you can. Lower the arms down so that they're at 60 degrees. Imagine that's an angle pointing straight out from your heart. Keep the left leg as relaxed as possible. You can keep the leg on the floor, or using the strength of the belly, lift the left leg up. Pull in and up on the belly on Sat. Let it relax on Nam. Sat, 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 Nam. Stay steady. Sat, Nam. 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 Deep inhale. Stay here. Exhale. One more deep inhale. Exhale. Release the left leg. Keep the arms as they are. Extend the right leg. Relax the leg. Shake it out a little bit. Shake it out. Keep that energy extending straight up from the heart. When you feel ready, bend the left leg. Plant the foot firmly to the earth. Relax the right leg. You can keep the leg on the floor. That's perfectly fine. The most important part is the mantra, moving that energy higher, connecting you with your authentic self, your true self. When you're ready, on the inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale. Inhale to begin. Sat, Nam. 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 Sat. 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 Nam. Deep inhale. Hold it here. Exhale. Deep inhale. Exhale. Release the leg. Extend the left leg. Shake out the arms. Shake out the legs. Let it all go. Keep the legs extended. Point the toes. Bring the hands in behind you. Fingertips point down towards your toes. You can stay right here with the buttocks planted firmly on the earth, lifting the heart, if you choose. Press the hip bones to the sky, only if it doesn't create pressure on the neck. Drop the head back. Pump your belly, breath of fire. Pull in and up on the belly with every exhale. Inhale. Hold it, exhale, one more deep inhale. Exhale, lower the buttocks to the earth. Bend the knees, wrap your arms around your legs, drop your forehead to your knees and let go. Let it all go. Keep your eyes closed as you bring your hands in behind you and you extend your legs. Keep your eyes closed as you lower the body all the way to the earth. Arms at your sides, palms face the sky. Find that place of surrender, that place of release, that place of deep trust. Body be heavy. Just let yourself go. And the left palm onto the heart and the right hand over top. Stay exactly as you are. Stay exactly as you are with the left palm on the heart and the right hand over top. Deepest inhale to wake up the heart. Deep inhale. Stay as you are, full and complete exhale. Stay exactly as you are. Deep inhale. Full and complete exhale. And inhale to close. Inhale. Sa. No. Satnam. Slowly. Slowly make your way back to seated. Take your time. There's no need to rush. And in the next few days, as we come up to the new moon, October 2nd, reflect on what is happening in our relationships, our friendships, our partnerships. Is there some place where we've really been compromising ourselves, where we've lost our equilibrium, where we've lost balance? What is it we can do? And how do we stay steady through it all? Practice gives us the tools and the clarity to have the energy, to have the strength, to have the courage, to have the tough conversations, to make the change. Eclipses are chaotic times. They can cause disruption, but really all they're trying to do is get you back on course. So even if something feels a little bit, uncomfortable, you're nervous about this karmic closure, this fated ending, don't be, because it's really just meant to get you back on course. Don't try to control everything. Be aware of what's happening. Be more mindful in your conversations. Be more willing to have these conversations, and don't rush to make decisions. Just wait. Set your intentions after the eclipse, just after. What would you want this relationship to look like? What would you want your relationship with yourself to look like? What is this pattern of behavior that you have with yourself that's impacting all your other relationships? What is this disrespect for yourself? Where are we letting ourselves down? What is it that's causing disharmony within ourselves? These are all things to think about. And as we go through the Yoga of Astrology course, every year when we come back to, every year we're going to come back to the new moon in Libra around this time of year. And it's going to look a little bit different, because we're going to have learned a lot of things. Right now, as I said, since May, I've been offering this introductory offer to the Yoga of Astrology, because we're just getting the basics down. We're understanding the archetypes of the zodiac signs, and we're understanding that what these planetary energies, we didn't even touch on, the planet that rules Libra, planet Venus. Like, that's a whole other conversation. We'll be getting into that as well. There's all these important aspects that are and transits that are happening in the sky. We haven't touched on any of that. We've simply talked about balance in Libra. So every time we come back to the new moon in Libra, or when we work in the full moon in Libra, when we come back to anything related to what's happening in the sky with Libra, then we're going to bring up you know, the main theme around balance and harmony and peace, but it's going to look and feel a little bit different depending on what else is going on in the sky. And as we build this foundational language together, this way of working, we can add more and more elements to it and have deeper insights and greater understanding and more tools to work with. And that's why I'd be so honored if you jumped in now at this starting level where we can build this foundation together, because there's so much exciting stuff coming up for you. We're going to be working more with the planet Saturn and its connection to Kundalini awakenings, and that's what I'm particularly obsessed with right now. And much more, but we've got to get our foundation down, and I'm hoping, well, this will be the last time that the course is offered at this 40% off introductory level, and it's the last time it's going to be offered until next year. And you know, when we move on, we're going to be moving on, and I hope that you choose to move on with us, because those of you who join now will be receiving full moon live classes every single month. This was a new moon class, and we'll definitely be dropping those in periodically, but you have a whole library of new moon classes in your Yoga of Astrology course. You have a new moon journal, you get worksheets with self-inquiry work, the questions I pose to you. You know, I asked you a couple questions today. There's more in your workbook. You will date your worksheets, your journal, your new moon journal. And when we go back to it next year, you'll be able to reflect back and see, where was I at this point in time? Because astrology works in cycles, and time has a lot of meaning. There's right now we're in the, you know, we're in the last of an eclipse of a particular eclipse, the last Libra eclipse in a particular eclipse cycle. That means something. Now we can't rush right over to what that means, because we're still figuring out what Libra means, and we're just having a tiny little of an introduction to these partial solar eclipses and these fated endings and closures and all of this stuff. So we're just slowly building together, and there's such an incredible temptation when it comes to astrology to learn it all as fast as possible, but that isn't what's going to have an impact on our lives. So this work should be life-changing. That's what Kundalini Yoga is. When you commit to it as a daily practice, it is life-changing. When you put that up against what the cosmos is offering you, what the sun, the moon, the stars are offering you, is like, here's your roadmap. Please use it. You have one. But how can you trust it if you don't have that clarity of thought, the resilience, the courage, that all of those deep inner resources to tap into? That's what we want to do. We want to be able to access all of that. That cosmic energy is in you. That energy of love, that energy of, you know, the planet Venus, it's in you. It lives in a particular chakra in your body. The Mars, that fiery energy of initiation is in you. When you need it, you can reach in and use it. So these are just some tiny examples of what is available to you in the Yoga of Astrology course. And just to quickly give you a quick overview before we wrap up today, and I'll just check in and see if Raquel in the back end here has any questions coming up about the course. But the course is super easy to follow along, and those of you who join now at this introductory level will get these live monthly classes ongoing for a full year at no extra cost. You'll have the replays made available to you. You'll have your journals available to you. And every time a new supplement to the course comes up, you will also have the alumni price, which will often be a huge savings, as much as 50% off for alumni only. So have a peek. Let me know if you have questions about the course. It's super easy to do because lessons are released one every 3 days. It's very manageable. There are short videos with information on, you know, the types of things we touched on tonight, as well as 30-minute practices that you get one every 3 days. Once those are all released, you can dip back in and use those classes anytime you want. When there's a new moon coming up, when there's a full moon coming up, when you want to use your you know, the sign of Leo energy to shine in a particular presentation at work, or if you have something have communication issues, tap into the planet Mercury, and let's work on Mercury, 5th chakra. Let's work on communication. Let's work on that aspect. If you need to put structure in place, let's dip into that Virgo energy and Saturn and all of these things, all of these tools that are sitting there right there for your use. There are 40 yoga classes. There's over 40 yoga classes. And then we have this ever building library, because every month we're exploring something new. And once we get this language down, we get to explore even more deeply. And we're going to talk more and more about awakenings. And, so some people talk about astrology as, in terms of fast tracking your awakening. Your process is going to take as long as you need it to take. That's the way these things go. But you can certainly make things a lot more smoother for yourself by having a better understanding of yourself, and better understanding that, there is some natural order to things. You aren't being singled out to be having a tough time. There are some challenges that are universal to all of us for our spiritual evolution, our growth, and knowing that these are universal lessons, that they're tied into the energy of the cosmos, that this is part of nature, that we can step out of these victim stories that we create and take back our power. And that's my invitation to you, is to use these tools to empower yourself and to align with the community that really just wants to be in that empowering, positive space, right? And to stop dragging each other down. We're moving on, we're moving forward, and I sincerely hope you'll consider moving forward with us in this supportive community, in these monthly live classes, and these many, many, many lessons that are available to you that you'll get in the Yoga of Astrology course. So check out the link. And before I sign off, just quickly, I'll just check in with Raquel. Raquel, are there any questions that I should answer before I let everyone go here?
No, I think you've answered all the questions, but I am just going to pop in the link one more time so that it's available to everyone right there, and we should be good.
Okay, super. And this is, every practice is completely different. So the practices are all level. They're easy to modify by modifying the level of the number of repetitions you do in a particular pose, or how long you stay in a particular pose. So please don't worry if you're concerned about the level of challenge, and they are released just one every 3 days. So I promise you it will be easy for you to keep up. It's in my classes over the years. It's not been uncommon to see ages in one particular class range from 14 to 80, all doing the same practice, just listening to their body and modifying what needs to be modified. So thank you for being here. Work with this new moon eclipse energy, reach out, ask questions, reply to any of the emails I've sent you, and let me know if you have questions about the Yoga of Astrology before enrollment closes October the 1st. Thank you, and thank you, Raquel. Satnam.